The LPA meeting of December the 14th, 2021. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please call the roll.
Chair Tompeck,
Here.
Vice Chair Kurzman,
Yes.
Board Member Campo.
Here.
Board Member Fender.
Here.
Board Member Mayfield.
Here.
Okay, next item is public comment on non-agenda items. I don't have any comment cards, so I'm assuming there are no comments at this point in time.
I have one to read into the record.
Okay, please do.
This is from Holly Hoover. She recommends an oversight task force be assembled for the assessment and construction of all LDR for stormwater and drainage, and that task force would convert to a committee. There has not been any solicitation of this, and there are enough professionals who are owners who can offer constructive contributions to control both the impacts and the costs. As it stands, the delegation is to those who could and would profit from the actions with limited control and who have no stake in the community. A cursory review of the planning documents to be presented finds them very articulate with respect to the description of the flora and fauna, but highly anecdotal concerning the geotechnical and hydrogeological characteristics of the peninsula. There are many cost efficiencies at all not included, and a life and a timeline forced narrowly. The road project phases should have been permitted under an individual permit due to the actual extent to the project and basins. The high water table for the wet season should have been used and a factor for sea level rise. For those reasons and others, it is only appropriate to construct an oversight task force committee for stormwater resiliency and sustainability, as there are Holly Hoover.
Thank you. Can I get a motion to approve the April 27, 2021 minutes?
So moved.
I'll second.
Please call the roll.
Vice Chair Kurzman,
Yes.
Board Member Campo,
Yes.
Board Member Fender,
Yes.
Board Member Mayfield,
Yes.
Chair Tompeck.
Yes. Do we have any additions, deletions, or changes to the agenda? Can I get a motion to approve the agenda?
So move. Second.
Please call the roll.
Board Member Campo,
Aye.
Board Member Fender,
Aye.
Board Member Mayfield,
Yes.
Chair Tompeck,
Yes.
Vice Chair Kurzman.
Yes.
Okay, the first item, actually the only item, is the comprehensive plan update. Welcome, Bonnie.
Thank you. My name, again for the record, is Bonnie Landry of Bonnie C. Landry and Associates, and I have been contracted with the town to provide this update to the comprehensive plan, and we're just waiting for the PowerPoint. Okay. So don't be alarmed by the number of slides. We're going to go through them quickly. And at your dais, there should be 2 documents. One is like up and down. That is the changes that we made to the data inventory and analysis. And the larger sheet are the individual changes made to each policy, et cetera, policies and objectives. We're not going to go through line by line, but I thought maybe you could have that in case you had a question about a specific policy or a specific change. You could just tell me where to look, or we could talk about it afterwards if that would be better. So the goals of this workshop, we're going to review the timeline. We're going to give you an overview of the changes, not one by one, but just kind of summaries of the changes. We're going to look at the comment matrix. We're going to talk about the polling that was done. We have a good update on that. We're going to compare goals, objectives, and policies. And we're going to receive comments from the public and from the commissioners because I want to remind everyone we still have time to make any changes before that transmittal version in January. So just as an overview, we have 9 elements that have data inventory and analysis. Every one of them has that characteristic except for the property rights element. So basically, you have 2 documents, data inventory and analysis of each element, and then goals, objectives, and policies, which are based on the data that we collected. This is the timeline. It shows that we're at the LPA workshop. The next meeting that we will have on the comprehensive plan will be in January. That will be 2 advertised hearings, one with the LPA and one with the Town Commission, and that'll be considered the first reading of the comprehensive plan update ordinance. It will then be transmitted to the state of Florida for their comments, and then final adoption, we suspect, will be around April and May, depending on how long it takes DEO to get back with us on that. Okay, I'm happy to say that Department of Economic Opportunity has been a great partner in this project. They answer the phone when I call, they email me. They're just very, very responsive. They also were very nice to provide a grant to pay a portion of this project. Deliverable 1 for that grant was submitted and accepted on December 6th. So very shortly, we should be getting reimbursement for that task. And like I said, we did get some courtesy feedback from DEO, which is nice because that means we'll have fewer comments to address when we get that first ORC report. So just to give you an overview of the data changes that we made, we changed the name. We had Town Park, and the proper name is Town Commons. We updated acreages. Should I go on? Okay. We recognized that we are near build-out. We first did the data. We did not include properties that were under construction. So we got that input from the building official and the town manager, so we've updated that section. And we changed the short-term planning period to 2027 to comply with the state law that it needs to be at least 5 years. We changed the names of the roadways to be consistent with what the town has them as. Original list of roads was based on what the county called them, but there are proper names for the town. So we updated the tables. In infrastructure, we did have a question about how the garbage was collected, and there is indeed an interlocal agreement with Martin County to be on their contract with waste management. So a lot of these are just housekeeping items to make it more correct. And we did add a note that we do have a fertilizer ordinance that helps reduce pollution. Conservation, we just made the maps a little clearer, corrected some typos. Recreation and open space, we updated the names of some parks and bridges based on local input. And we updated the open space locations on the mapping, and I'm going to show you the maps in upcoming slides. Housing, there was a comment made about RVs. That was some information we got from the state. We took that out. Historically significant properties, there were some that were no longer here, unfortunately, so we took those off the map. Coastal, we had to update the historic resources to be consistent with the ones that had been demolished, and we corrected some typos. Intergovernmental, very important, we updated the relationship with the city of Stewart to recognize that they provide our fire rescue services here, and we updated the information about the interlocal agreement for waste, solid waste and fire rescue. No changes were made to capital improvements. Goals, objectives, and policies, minor grammatical errors were corrected. We did recognize in the transportation element that there is limited right-of-way, so connected sidewalks can be a challenge. Minor grammar corrections in infrastructure and conservation. Recreation and open space, we added a policy for the town to consider developing a budget in their CIP to add bathroom facilities to the park. That was a comment from the public. We had some minor rewording for clarity. In housing, we made 2 changes. We took out the information about smaller lots and setbacks. Some comprehensive plans provide for smaller lots for affordable housing, but since you're built out, we took that out. And one of the comments from the state, we took some definitions not from state statute in the housing element, and they wanted it to be identical to the way the state defines those affordable housing definitions. So we just basically copied and pasted from the state statute. Coastal was just rewording. And the property rights element had the most changes. It is a complete rewrite. We updated the entire element, and we adopted the exact language from the Florida statute. That was the recommendation from Department of Economic Opportunity. They said that it's just better to leave it exactly as they worded it, and that's what we did. So what do we have in progress? One of the good recommendations that came from the commission was do a side-by-side comparison of the old policies, the old plan, and show how the spirit of the original plan is considered in this update. And we've begun that process. It is taking a little bit longer than expected, but we will have that done by January. And I think you'll be very pleased to see that even though it's a rewrite, the spirit of the original document is in this new document. So there are 26 maps. I'm not going to bore you with every single one of them. They should be, you will see them in your packets for the final adoption. But every one of these maps is going to have to be updated because your boundary recently changed with the de-annexation. There was a parcel in the northwest corner that was split. So all of the maps are going to be updated, but you'll see there's 26 maps, almost one for every element. So I was going to go through briefly the maps that we have just to show you how they've changed. Future land use map, one of the comments from the state is that the colors were difficult to see, especially with the smaller parcels. So we tried to make it a little more vibrant and more contrasting in color so that it's clear what property is what. But again, we will have to update the boundary to show that piece that's been de-annexed. This is the parcel map. That is not required, but the map guy thought it was a good illustration to show the town limits. This is the alternative modes of transportation, where your sidewalks, bike lanes, transit routes, and future transit routes. In the full package, each one of those are pulled out individually, so it's very clear, but I just showed you an overview on this particular slide. This is your utility service area. It shows that the town is within the Martin County Utilities Service Area, and then it shows you where the city of Stewart is. This is your water connections, which is pretty much almost everybody, I think. And the wastewater connections, as you can tell, most of the connections are in North Sewalls Point. These are your FEMA flood maps, and like I said, these are all required by state statute. Coastal high hazard area, that is a new requirement because of the sea level rise and storm surge. And basically how you define this map, it's the area below the elevation of a Category 1 storm surge, and this is provided. So this is a screenshot of what the commissioners have at the dais today. I wanted to show the screenshot. I don't think that anybody wants me to go one by one on every single change. But I wanted to show the screenshot to show how detailed that we have gotten on this so that everybody knows what's changed. So there is going to be the source of the comment itself, what has happened, did we change a policy, did we say we agree with it, we're not going to change it, we are going to change it, and then it shows the date that the draft changed. So we are on draft 2 at the moment. This is very important. We do encourage public comments. We had some help with the town clerk to get this set up, so it's very simple to follow. You just go through the main page and you provide the comments. You can see the draft and then you email me the comments, and my email will be at the last slide in case anybody wants to email me. So that's what it looks like on the website. It shows you each of the elements. You can push the link and go right to read version 2 of each of the goals, objectives, and policies. This is a very exciting slide for me. We had a comment, more than one comment, that the polling size was very small. We did a meeting in April, and I think we had about 15 participants that participated in that live polling survey. But since that time, the manager sent out paper copies through the newsletter, and I would have to ask April how many, but we are up to 50?
50.
So that's a huge difference. So you're going to see a huge difference after we close polling, which I think is tomorrow. We're going to update all of the graphs, and it may change where people are and what they want. And then based on that change, the commissioners can give me direction if they want me to change any policies based on the updated input from the public. But I would want, your agreement on that. So it is also important, people are going to say, well, how come question 3 had this many answers and question 4 had this many answers? Not everyone answers every question. Sometimes people will put a question mark, they don't understand the question, or they just choose not to answer it. But we are recording all answers, even if they don't answer all the questions. So this is giving you an update. Our next meeting is January 25th. That is 2 meetings, one with the LPA, one with you sitting as LPA and one as the commission. And that'll be the first reading of the ordinance and the final change of the document before it goes to the state. But my wish is if there are major changes to make, that we get that input before the packets go out in January. Not that you can't, but it'd be better to do it sooner than later. Once it goes to the state, they do a report that says basically you're in compliance, but we think you might want to change this, or you need to change this because you're out of compliance. They go through it very critically, so there will be changes after that report. I don't know anybody that gets a no changes report from the state. And then following that, you'll have your adoption hearing, which will be the version after we have changed it to respond to the state comments. So by then we'll be on version 4, I believe, because version 2 is what you have tonight, but any input between now and January will be version 3, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. And we are keeping each rendition in case someone wants to know how it's changed and evolved throughout this process. And as I said, we welcome your emails. If you want to fill out the survey, we've had very good response with that very recently, and we appreciate, thank you to the town manager for sending that out, because apparently people like to do the paper copies. Mm-hmm. So we're happy about that. So I'm available to answer any of your questions.
Bonnie, could you go back one slide, please?
I can.
The last item there, does it have to go back to the state at some point at the end there, or
Yes.
Is that really the end?
No, you're correct. So we respond to their comments, and then they can decide if that's acceptable to them. It's what's called sufficient. If they say it's sufficient, there's 30 or 60 days that someone from the public could challenge it. And then after that, then it's done. And so it's done when they post it's done on their website. But there's a process.
I have a question. Bonnie, thank you. I think you guys are doing a great job and very organized. And for all this information, it can be a lot, but it's easy to keep track of, and I appreciate it on the website. I think that is helpful. I just had a quick question. The map you showed alternative modes of transportation, the proposed transit, I was going back to the GOP section. Is that the Treasure Coast Loop Trail? What is that yellow?
So, yes, the Treasure Coast Loop is a proposed multimodal path around the island that it's been on the MPO's priority list, and I believe that might be a regional facility, meaning people, not just in Martin County, care about that loop. And that is, it's good for exercise, it's good for people traveling by bike or running, but that needs to be completed. And it's been, like I said, a priority MPO.
Is it just like part of a bike lane? I mean, is it the bike lane, or you don't have to go into detail.
No, it's multimodal, and I don't know if it's just one of those large paths that can be shared by cyclists and runners. I think that's what it is, but I don't want to answer. I can look it up.
All right, thank you. That was it.
Mr. Fender?
Hey, great work on this, Bonnie and team.
Thank you.
Hey, what is our last opportunity to get input and make changes to any of the content in here?
Well, you're the-
According to that last document, the last list of timelines.
Ideally, I would like your comments as a commissioner prior to when the packets are due in January, which is, I think, like around the 12th of January.
Okay, so early January, we can,
Yeah, but again, you're the commissioner, you can make changes right up. You can make changes at the transmittal hearing, actually, because in some municipalities, there have been comments that come in the day of the transmittal hearing, and you would just make a motion that you want to transmit it to the state with these changes, and then we make those changes.
great. Thanks so much.
No pressure.
One other quick question. I got some calls about the questionnaire,
Yes, sir.
and some of the questions didn't look like they related very closely to Sewell's point in terms of, residences and businesses and this kind of thing. And I thought maybe you could talk about where those questions came from.
Okay, and I did send an email today, which I should probably pull up, if Heather could pull it up, that responded to each one of the questions. But each one of the questions with the exception of the first couple, which were icebreakers, just to kind of get people used to using the polling equipment, they correlate to one of the elements in the comprehensive plan.
So there were questions that really, you didn't think them up, they were already there, and we just...
I did come up with them, but I came up with them with particular elements in mind, so that I would have some input from the public related to what they wanted. So, I don't know if you want to go through the email, or are you talking in general terms?
I'm just talking in general terms.
In general
That was
terms,
the question I received, that's all.
Yeah, in general terms, each one of the questions was to get input for what kind of, what the public wanted in their town. Some were follow-ups to your January meeting, which were just for me to get more information about what hometown means, because what does that mean? Does that help?
Right?
So, Bonnie, there was a little discussion last time, I think you and I went back and forth, and I think I saw an email about it, regarding sort of a visioning theme around the concept of what our community is. I was using, in the last conversation we had about it, I was kind of pointing to Delray Beach and their entire slogan of Village by the Sea. And I just wonder if you guys have been bantering that around about, had we thought of this a little earlier, it would have been pretty cool to maybe include an open text item in the poll so that if people had ideas, because, the more the better.
That's a good idea.
Might be able to get some input on a theming concept. I liked some of the ones you had in the email, but I just wondered if you guys have been thinking in that regard.
And I liked your email because you kind of call it Community by the Sea, and I think that's really short and sweet. And I'll be happy to include that if the other commissioners like that idea. The plan's kind of branding is Legacy 2045, but the overall vision, we don't really have one.
Yeah.
So I like Community by the Sea, but I'm open to other input.
Well, Legacy 2045 is a little bit sterile and, kind of
Jewel by the lagoon or something.
something like that. Yeah.
So we could, if everybody is on board with it, we could amend that branding from Legacy 2045 to Community by the Sea.
I just don't know what process or how you would come up with something that would resonate. It seems like a difficult challenge, although it'd be amazing.
Yeah. So maybe I'll send an email to the commission with some ideas, and you can give me some input back. And just remember, anytime I email you, you only respond to me, not to each other, because we're very conscious of sunshine laws. So what I could do is come up with some ideas. Heather and I could come up with some ideas, email them out, you respond to me, and then I'll talk to the manager.
That'd be a good way to start.
Well, I think it's a good idea, and I'm very open to changing the branding.
Well, my thought is it really wouldn't entirely be up to us, but I think the community would having the community provide input would be.
No, I think that would be
Great,
great. And what I could do is work with April to get the list that we have on the website, and they could email me directly, and I could get all that information to you individually. Is that okay?
Just an idea.
Okay. Okay, a poll option on the website. So we have a few ideas and some really smart people to help me with that. So that would be, we will definitely put that on our list.
Any other questions from the commissioners? Fine, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, that's the only item on the agenda. Is there any staff comments?
Tina?
Guess that would be me.
You're the staff.
No, sir, I had a terrific time actually working with Bonnie on this project. It was a very interesting read.
Great.
And I have to tell you, she read every word.
I believe it.
I don't know where she finds the time, but it was very helpful because how long have you been here?
32 plus years.
Yeah, longer than me. So you have that local history and that local knowledge, and I think because of that, we have a better document. So,
Any other comments from the commission? Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
I'll
Meeting
second.
adjourned.
All right.